Hi everyone, it's Aaron here from Zero to Fit Pro, and welcome to episode 2 of our podcast. Today we've got on Kyle, who's a friend of mine, and we work together. And I thought today we'd cover a large area of fitness anyway, but we try and go into business models, self-employed, employed, paying rent, all that different side of things. And we get a good balance between myself and Kyle about the ways we've worked and the gyms we've worked in. And the rest of the time we'll chat a lot of other gym and fitness stuff. And
yeah, nonsense.
yeah. So introduce yourself, Kyle, mate.
So I'm Kyle. My PT business is called Coached by Tait. They're my initials, and I've had this business, and I've been the owner of this business for 4 years now. I've worked within the gym group for the past 3.5 years. That's the gym that Aaron's at. And then before that, I worked in Pure Gym for about half a year, possibly a little bit less than, before I left due to difficulties. But we'll move on from those.
I don't know if I want to know. I'm not quite sure.
You want to go over it? We'll go over it.
Well, if you want, yeah, go on.
I think for me, I was
This is the honest approach.
Yeah. For me, when I first joined the industry, I was only 18, so I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know how easy it was going to be to pick up clients, how fast I was going to make money, really, because I was naive to it all. I'd never been self-employed. I'd never been a PT at all. So whenever I first joined Pure Gym, every time I got money, I'd spend the money. I was an 18-year-old kid. I had my head was in the clouds, and I thought, oh my God, this guy's just paid me £250, £300. I'm going to go out and spend it. And I did just that. And I did that for a period of probably the first 2 months. As I'd like to think any 18-year-old PT would also do, rather than thinking immediately, I'm going to put that in savings, I'm going to put that in savings. Pardon me. So that all happened and business was going quite well. And then I had a bit of an issue with the management. It wasn't necessarily them being bad or them doing anything wrong or me doing anything wrong or me being bad. It was just a clash of personalities. It didn't really work, to which I then left Pure Gym. But then upon leaving, my clients and stuff asked for refunds, which is absolutely fine. Obviously, I didn't have the money to give them back. So I had to immediately go into another job, which I could then start to earn money to pay back my clients. And that was pretty much where I started. Now, since then, I'd like to think I've been the complete opposite of that because I learned from that initial mistake.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Finances is a hard one, especially if people are in a self-employed role because they treat their money in as straight away their income. And a lot of the time, no matter if you're a sole trader or you run a limited business, it doesn't matter if you're a one-man band or not. The business gets paid first, and then we get a salary as such.
Yeah, you get paid.
Yeah, percentage of that. And I think that's, when you're young, you just don't think like that, do you?
No, yeah. I think I was getting a new pair of trainers every week, and I was like, this is amazing.
Well, that still hasn't changed.
Hey? No, well, yeah. I probably should slow down on that even now, but I think it just kind of got in my head earning quite a good amount of money and earning that quite quickly. Let's say within 1 week, if I'd got 2 or 3 new clients in that week, that would be 400, 500. That to me was like earn £600 in a week. I was like, I can easily go and buy a pair of trainers. I've got nothing to worry about other than that. And I think it kind of got away from me a little bit, obviously, when my clients required refunds and they couldn't follow me to another gym. I did join another gym, actually. I joined the gym group, so the same company we work for now in Gosforth. I obviously had to quit there because I couldn't have a job with no money when I already owed money. So for me, the best thing to do in that situation was to go and get a job that was paid, and I worked for Exercise for Less, and it was terrible. But I was able to accumulate a bit of money to pay back the people that had paid me for the service.
Spot on, yeah. So you've been really in the self-employed gyms all of the time, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which is that's right in the trenches of business, isn't it?
And that's been since I was 18. So since I was 18, I've worked within those low budget gyms, and alongside or around those self-employed trainers that we are now. And I think it was probably a good thing for me, to be fair.
Definitely. Well, see, my background's from an employed role. So I was an employed trainer and then got a percentage of every session paid. And the huge difference that I've noticed is actually the work ethic of a lot of people. So normally there's a ratio, every 1 in 5 people who become a PT will do well in the industry.
Yeah.
But actually when you're in a self-employed role, I actually see a lot more drive to do more work and actually
100%.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not getting, even if they're employed, but they only get paid per session, they still think, oh, I'm all right here. I'm going to be all right.
Yeah. It's just the self-dependency of it.
Mm.
You know that that's your only income, so it has to work. And fortunately, I now only do coaching for, I think, the first year and a half at the gym group we're at now, or that I'm at now. I had another job on the side, which was just covering the important stuff, covering bills, covering car payments, petrol, food, etc. And then my PT was just essentially extra money, and I was able to put that aside, and it wasn't going anywhere until I obviously was able to. I had enough clients. I had a client base that was great enough to move just to PT, and I haven't gone back. I'm not going to say yet. I was going to say yet, but I'm not going to say yet. It's not going to happen.
Not now. Not now. I think
too far in.
Yeah, there's a huge difference of speed, as we're saying, with if you're all in, like you've just got to go and get. Really, in the grand scheme of things, we all just need maybe 6, 7 clients, and you're making an all right salary every month, basically.
Yeah.
But if you've got another side job, sometimes it slows down the speed people get clients, and so it's a catch-22. You need to be responsible, especially you've got outgoings. Yeah. But at the same time, you've got to try and grow a successful business, which could be absolutely huge if you just put your heart and soul into it.
I mean, that was the main thing for me was whenever I worked both jobs, I worked in a retail store and then I worked obviously as a PT. Now, when I was working as a PT, I was doing sessions like after shifts at the retail store. So maybe I'd do like a 12 till 5, like a 5-hour shift in the middle of the day. I'd have a couple of clients in the morning. Then I'd go and do that shift at the retail store. Then I'd have maybe a couple of clients in the evening. And it was all right. And the workload wasn't ridiculous. The retail job was fortunately quite light. And the managers there were very forgiving in terms of giving me shifts that worked around me and what essentially was my own business. And again, they were great with me. So I was able to keep both for quite a while. And I think I almost just got attached to it for a little bit too long. I could have made the jump way sooner. Making that jump was the terrifying thing for me. And at the same time, I thought, well, I don't mind doing it. And the guys I work with are all right. So why would I not? There's no reason for me to. But then once I did, my PT business just soared. And it wasn't like I went from having X amount of clients to doubling that, but I was able to enjoy the sessions more. I was less tired. And I was a little more free with my time as well, which helped a lot in terms of planning sessions and creating programs for clients as well.
Yeah, and just having that free time, just to be able just to chill out and relax and enjoy what you've actually earned a little bit,
Yeah.
Because
holidays, Call of Duty, they're all up there.
Because I remember working literally every God-sending hour and then making good money, but then never getting to enjoy it. Never wanting to go on holiday because you were scared in case you go and your clients just go, oh, well, I'm going to give up now. I'm not bother coming back. And
well, you used to work pretty long days, didn't you?
Yeah.
You work like morning till evening.
All the way through, back to back. And then I decided to take like a weekend off and then Fridays off.
Yeah.
And then I just changed entirely my routine as such. So yeah, it's best.
So would you, obviously if we're doing this for people coming into the industry, would you advise against that? Would you advise setting something in place beforehand, maybe saying, okay, these are my hours and I'm not going to work beyond those, or what would you say to it?
It really depends on that person's situation of how much money do you need? Are you literally on the bones of your ass and you need to start making an income? It is literally snatch and grab every possible client you can get until you get into a position where you're actually comfortable. Then you can start dictating what hours you want to earn or what hours you want to work and how much you want to earn.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you I feel if people come from a position where they're dictating every little angle of their diary, chances are you'll never get any clients at all, because you're just not trying to fill it up. So you got to try and fill up wherever possible, and then start shifting, changing prices. You know, loads of different ways you can start filtering out your diary again.
Because I think that was the biggest issue I had when I had both jobs was they'd say, can you do this time? And it'd be like, oh, no, sorry, I'm at my other job. And it almost looked as though, because they were more set hours and I was able to be flexible with training sessions, that the retail job was my first priority. That's probably maybe what it seemed to other clients or to potential clients. And that PT was just kind of like a secondary, when in fact, I was just waiting for the right time to jump ship to being a full-time coach.
Yeah. So let's just go over the business model as such. So originally it used to be you work 12 hours a week, right? And you do that for free.
Yeah.
And then anything you earned within Pure Gym or the gym at the time was your own money. Yeah. So you had to obviously do your own tax and stuff like that. Then there was this huge Slavery Act sort of pulled up. So you can't have people working.
Anti-PT Act.
So the gym group, Pure Gym, those budget gyms had to start paying staff. But now you get paid money, and then you pay that back to the company again, and that's how it works. But still, everything you earn is your own money, right?
Yeah. So effectively, I've spoke to clients about the system, and when we weren't getting paid, but could use the gym, I think that made a lot more sense to people, clients and people who maybe ask the question, how does the rent system work? That made more sense to people, rather than me now saying, oh, well, yeah, so I do these shifts, they pay me X, and then I just give them it all back. I think that seems a little less normal. I've got a few clients who have been like, why do you have to pay to work? And they don't see it clearly. And I've tried to explain, but I've just had to give up many a time.
Because actually, I know that Pure Gym actually started with, but let's guess the numbers, they'll pay someone £400 a month, but they have to pay back £450.
Yeah.
So it costs them every month still a rent scheme to be in the gym, you know?
They could get away with that. They could not do that. Like, I mean, the gym group, they have what they pay out is less than what they get paid. It's maybe £3 or £4.
Right.
But that £3 or £4 isn't going to be, oh my God, I'm making £3 or £4 extra a month from the system. It's the gym group not underpaying you and kind of keeping the systems close to what it was. And I think I'm glad I work for the gym group rather than Pure Gym in these kind of circumstances.
Yeah. See, when I did mine, so I started David Lloyd, and that was an employed role. And I honestly think that, because I had no experience whatsoever in training people or things like that, I just talk to people. So when I entered the gym, didn't have a Scooby-Doo about what I was actually doing. So I did 40 hours a week of actual minimum wage work. And so that 40 hours was obviously cleaning equipment, doing what they call PYEs, which is personalize your exercises. So free programs, technique correction, loads of engagement stuff for members. Because obviously it's an expensive membership, so you have to deliver a lot of free value. And in those 40 hours is where I really started to really learn how to do my job properly and nail it, basically. And then every month, those hours would drop by 5 constantly. Down to 0. Then over time, you should be building a PT business at the same time. So it was a great way in filtering the crap out, basically. The people who don't want to do the job, don't want to can't be asked to get clients and things like that. The people who just don't know what they're doing. So you had to grow your business. And that was, they're taking a percentage. They used to take, let me just think of the numbers. I think we were charging like £32.50 a session at the time, and you'd get paid £11 per session. And then as it went up, that was 0 to 15 sessions a week. When you got to 15 sessions a week, it was £14 a session. Then 25 sessions a week was £16 a session or something like that.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
So the more sessions you did, the more you got paid per session.
Yeah.
Is it an easy way to put it? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is great, like early doors if you've got no idea
Yeah,
what you're doing.
Yeah,
But it's just a right pain in the ass when you hit a ceiling. You're like, God, I'm
yeah,
doing 47 sessions here, and they're taking 2.5 grand off me every month. You're like,
yeah. Yeah, and I think when you add it up and when you look at it like that, you had to get to that place first. So you have to get those 47 sessions first of all, and then you have to then look at the bigger picture and, well, can I just pay rent rather than having X amount of a percentage of your PT sessions deducted? Is it cheaper to pay rent on a gym or open your own place or whatever? That's obviously the route that you would take.
It's I think a lot of the time I was a bit bitter about it, actually. I was like looking and going, God, they're just robbing me blind. But what you don't really, it's a selfish point of view, that, because actually they're running a business, they're actually paying for the facility and, all this sort of stuff, all the marketing, all the stuff in the background that a PT wouldn't really notice if you were in a commercial gym. They're paying for all that. So, it's sort of just, I work here, there's my bit. But now, obviously, I pay rent at the gym group, and what's that, £500 a month or something? And I know it varies in locations, but on average, that's about right. And that is so much better. It is so much better.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably the average gym rent for most places. Like DW, I think, is about that price. I don't know. Did David Lloyd have an outright rent?
No,
they don't.
You wouldn't allow it, no, because they obviously make so much money off the back end of your session.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. But there's a few other gyms like Energy, I think they do have a system in place which is similar. And I think you teach X amount of classes and you get X amount of money off your rent, etc., etc. And then obviously smaller private studios, they probably have their own rent set, which is probably again in around that £500 mark. So
yeah. Well, Exercise for Less, they changed theirs, didn't they? They were doing like a rent scheme, scaling back your hours, you paid more rent the less hours you did, didn't they? But then there's changed.
Well, they changed that, I think. I think with Exercise for Less in like going back 2 or 3 years now, I think their initial system was you did X amount of hours on shift, let's just say 20, and you paid X amount of money. As you dropped your hours of shift, that rent would go up. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was flexible or maybe there was only a couple of different options. Or you could teach 2 classes a week and get X amount of money. But I think it changed, and I'm sure because they did a similar system to what David Lloyd now do, in which they get paid, Exercise for Less get paid for the session, and they then pay the trainer. And I think this was when the whole anti-PT, anti-slavery law came about within gyms, or I don't know how much that affected other industries, but
but now I believe Exercise for Less only pay a minimum wage on that session.
Okay, yeah.
That's why everyone got a bit peeved with it and then left. That was huge
but
thing.
I think you get paid for every hour you do that isn't a PT session or a one-to-one session. I think you get paid minimum wage, and then I think you do get paid a little bit more for the sessions that you deliver, but that's only on top of your minimum wage. So it like takes your minimum wage from being £8-9 or whatever the minimum wage is at the moment, up to maybe £12 or £13. So you're only getting like £5 extra for delivering a one-to-one session, as opposed to if you were just on the gym floor putting weight away.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a lot less of a personalised service.
Yeah. I think it opens the door as well to a lot of underhanded. So I've seen, and trust me, I've never ever done this, but I've seen people undercut gyms, and if for example David Lloyd's taking a percentage, they go, well, just to the client, you just pay me directly and we'll just do it like that. And that happens. It can happen quite a lot. So with a large company taking a huge chunk, it can sort of lead down the wrong way, and then before you know, fraudulent activity happening and losing everything.
It's quite a dodgy industry, though. I think on a whole, I think you've got a lot of genuine people, and you've got a lot of people who are in the industry for the wrong reasons, which you're always going to, I guess, in every you're always going to find in every self-employed job possibility. You're going to find people are a little more dodgy than others, but fortunately, we don't work with any undercutters.
I don't think so.
No, yeah.
I think See, I always so obviously you watched or listened to my last podcast, but in that one I set up virtual trainer, and sort of
Yeah.
David Lloyd saw that as a dodgy thing, as a
Yeah.
operating outside your job role.
Yeah.
But actually, it's from my own perspective, I was trying to make a living to support my family. So a lot of the time, it comes from good ground that people are doing these things because they've got to earn a living and make bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the way it works.
Yeah.
But so which way,
Yeah.
coming from Auburn, which business model method would you feel is best for people brand new?
Well, the system that we're in at the moment with the gym group, it seems the best. I think in terms of development, it was just getting into a further development stage when this coronavirus pandemic came around. So I think that's possibly halted their progress with that a little bit, in terms of the services that they can provide us as their employees. Because before we weren't their employees, we were just, I don't know how the system worked, you may know better than me, but obviously we're just working for free, so we weren't getting paid. We weren't on official books as such, to the extent of a paid employee, to the extent that they would be. So it's a very relaxed system. I think that the larger gym chains, Pure Gym, Gym Group, pretty much those two, I don't know the Exercise for Less system at the moment, but those two gyms I know offer very effective systems and great systems for both new PTs and more experienced PTs. Which would I do? I wouldn't have changed the way I came through, to be fair.
Did you feel you had to learn faster? How to pick up clients, do all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. Well, you're on your heels a little bit more. You kind of, you feel that dependency a little bit more once you're a manager of your own business. So you have to go out, you have to do the work, you have to make an income to, obviously, fortunately, I don't have any children, but there's some people who are coming into this industry who will have children, who need to support their families and what have you. So, yeah, I mean, you can speak more so on that because you were in that position where you needed to make an income to provide for your family and your daughter. So, I mean, you can obviously speak a bit more than me in terms of how pressured you felt. I was quite chilled living at home whenever I first became a PT, so I was quite relaxed on the bill forefront. But yeah, I wouldn't change the way I came into the industry, even the spap I had with Pure Gym, and then like having to essentially close down business. My first business was Tait personal training, essentially having to shut that down to then obviously pay them off and stuff like that. And I didn't want to use the same name because I felt if someone's seen that name again, it was a little bit tarnished. He took my money and he left, and then he paid us back. But I don't know, I just felt that it was a little bit dodgy for me to use the same name. So that's why I came with Coached by KT when I was working at Exercise for Less. But how would you find, did you feel pressured coming into the industry on a financial basis?
Well, yeah, so I was in a bad place anyway. I wasn't earning a lot of money. I was struggling like month to month all the time. And we were in a position where we had to claim benefits and all sorts, some housing benefit and stuff like that. And I don't know what it was. When I look back, it was just a bit of a blur, but it was just a switch that I had to change just because the job I was in was horrible, absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And so I'd already committed. So I just had to go. There was no stopping. And I mean, I always thought at that point, if it all goes up shit's creek, then I just get a job, just get a normal job. And even now, if everything went to crap, I just get a normal job. And then I could come back later down the line. But truth be told, no matter every day you think to yourself, 1 minute you can have loads of clients, next minute you think they're all going to be gone. Chances are it's never really going to happen. I mean, the worst I've had is 8 clients leave in a week. That's the worst I've had. And I put that down to working too many hours and not delivering a perfect service because I just had too many clients. Things had to change. But I feel if you put yourself in that stressful situation, you'll do better. And
Yeah.
I feel I had an easy ride in the very beginning because I was getting paid. I still had some stability there, but you still have to have that mental switch to go, actually, I need to take this up a notch.
Yeah.
And I think when I was a gym manager at David Lloyd, we used to, when we looked at recruitment of PTs, it sound wrong, but if you had a younger personal trainer, you would then look and go, I'm not sure this person's as driven as this 35-year-old trainer. Just basically down to, well, how financially unstable are they? This person needs to make some money. This person's at home with their parents, and so sometimes that would come up. You'd think about that, but how they come across an interview determined if you were going to employ them or not. And we had some young lads who are in the same position as me, who've got kids and they need to deliver. They were the best ones that just came through and just smashed it. And you were like, they were happy because they got a good income. They loved their job. You were happy because it was great for the club as well. And it was just like win-win. Everyone's winning.
Yeah.
But I think
for me, I think if I could go back and not have the support of living at home and that support on whole and not having another job, I know for a fact that my business would have grown a lot quicker than it did because I needed to. And like you say, with being driven, I would have been a lot more driven had I have had that coming into the industry rather than being a bit more supported, which I was.
See, obviously, I don't follow Gary V very much. I don't like every week watch his stuff, but every so often I'll flash up, get a video from him, and it's always that thing of he's trying to inspire younger generations to while they're living at home with their parents to really start driving and start getting their business up and running while they don't have any financial restrictions. But a lot of the time that is the one stimulus that makes sure if you actually do it or not. So it's like you might as well, I feel sometimes. So I went to a Tony Robbins event and he went and got rented a castle. So he went to stay in this castle for 3 months to live in it. And by the end of that, he's like, I need to buy this castle. I need to buy it. This is my house. This is me now. And so he just committed to the mortgage of it. And then he took his income up to a whole new level because he had to do it. And so some people in this world put themselves in positions where they have to, step it up a level.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's slightly irresponsible if you've got like kids and things.
Well, yeah, but like you say, at the same time, it is going to make you push more. And what you could have achieved in 6 months, you may achieve in 2 or 3. So, it's irresponsible to just go 2 feet in quicksand. But at the same time, if you're confident, like you see people like remortgaging their houses to start businesses, and if that doesn't work or goes under, then you're done. But it works, and then they're fine. So you no doubt there's probably some stories out there of people who have tried to become PTs, tried to go all in with their business, and it hasn't really turned out well. But you get that in every self-employed profession, I guess. Yeah,
I think it's a failure. People like that then blame it on their environment, their product, their pricing, things like that. And so a lot of the time it's a failure of the PT. But like anything, like this is why I started Zero to Fit Pro, is because we want to help people actually understand how to do it properly. Because when you do qualify, even now, they're actually Active IQ, who we do our qualifications through, they're actually delivering a level 3 diploma in personal training with business modules added on. And I was speaking to the guy the other day, and he said, because obviously we deliver business modules from an actual real life situation. And he goes, they're not the best things for a level 3 diploma. They're just maybe fundamental underpinning things like, for example, tax, financial bits like that, but nothing in terms of how to actually get clients, how to price correctly.
No,
all these different things, so for the most part, it's a failure on the PT's behalf because they've put everything in, but they didn't set themselves up to actually do well because they didn't have any support or a mentor or anything else, So you've got to find yourself that correct support group. And I mean, even then, being in the self-employed gym, you can get experience from every single person in there, and you'll learn something new about how they've grown their business or what they've done, and you'll just get so much out of it. But if you just a solo PT going from house to house, knocking doors, giving flyers, you've got no one there to support, no one to help you through anything.
No.
And so it'd be so much harder.
Yeah. And your business then only goes through word of mouth. I really don't think that anyone should, or could for that matter, just become off the back a door-to-door PT. I think that would be super difficult to create a business from nothing to rely on word of mouth from your first client. I think it would be really difficult to achieve success like that. But like you say, if you're willing to put in the time and work hard on social media to get your content out and get your services out to people within your local area, then yeah, you probably could make it. But I mean, I wouldn't recommend someone start. I recommend someone went into like a gym in which they were supported by the gym and had no like financial obligations of even little things like driving door to door equipment and stuff like that. So what if you were to pass someone does your Zero to Fit Pro qualification, they become a level 3 personal trainer, where do you start in terms of recommendations? Where do you, obviously it's going to be locational and where they live, but how would you go about pushing someone into a certain gym or?
So when someone's qualified, what we do with a student afterwards?
Yeah.
So basically, because we don't do large cohorts of students, we don't take 30 people every week through a qualification. We spend time with specific, I mean, right now we've got 5 people on a qualification. So the fitness industry is notoriously bad for staff turnover. Just from what we're saying, people falling by the wayside, not committing enough. So a lot of the time we find out what that person actually wants. Do they want to be working in the gym? Some people just do it for their own, just self-gratification of getting qualified. So some people want to be self-employed, work in the gym. Some people want to be employed. We find out what route they want to go down, and then we send them towards the relationships we have. So gym, David Lloyd, Pure Gym, even local facilities like Elite fitness rooms, people like that, because people are just crying out for decent staff. That's what they want. But a lot of the time, people who qualify, they go through the qualification, and they learn. It's like passing your driving test. You learn how to drive a car, but no one's ever taught you that when a car's coming hurtling at you, what do? So you just have to think on your feet. But where we teach them all that, so a gym is actually getting a member of staff that's ready to go, knows what they're doing, knows what they have to do, and knows how to grow. You know what you said? Like I was going to say, one of the failings of the business models that are all around, whether it's employed or self-employed, the conversation we just had about the person who's knocking door to door trying to grow a business themselves, is the failings is that you're not given enough hours to actually grow a PT business. So So when I was doing an employed role, I was paid 40 hours, and it was sold in a way that was right. In these 40 hours, you're able to grow a PT business. When really, if you want to grow a fast business, you can't do that in a normal 40-hour job. You've got to do like 12 hours a day, every day. And when I went, I took a promotion, and then I quit that job and came back to being a PT again. And I had no clients. I probably had 5 or 6 if I think back now, but I had no clients at all. And for 2 weeks, I stood in the little cafe area of the gym and spoke to every single person, 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. for 2 weeks solid. And I got to 25 sessions in 2 weeks. And so, doing 40 hours isn't enough. When you get given 12 hours a week as part of a gym, that's definitely not enough. So people, you can grow your business organically and speaking to people. You've got to just put that time in no matter what facility you're in, whether you're doing it speaking to people or you're doing your social media, you're doing
Yeah.
podcasts, whatever, corporate relationships and stuff. It's not a 40-hour a week job, unfortunately.
No, yeah. I think I've got clients that pretty much text me at the moment. From some clients that text me at 8 a.m, others are texting me like at 10 o'clock at night. And even little things like that, getting back to clients, that's not a 9 till 5 thing. A client isn't just going to have an issue between 9 till 5. It goes beyond there. Now, if you work 9 till 5 with clients, it's likely you're going to receive texts later in the evening anyway, and that job then becomes a 9 till 9. You're pretty much working like in and around like 6 a.m, depending on how early you start sessions, but 6 a.m. till 8, 9, 10 p.m. every single day, because you've got to be there to respond to clients' questions and text clients back. But obviously you can have cut-off points. You can be a bit more resilient and strict with that. It's 8 p.m, clients text me after that, I'm not going to reply until tomorrow morning. And no doubt they probably wouldn't be bothered. But initially, when you're trying to build a business, you do want to be super productive and very presentable.
That's it. Yeah, that's what it's just about, living through the trenches, growing a business, and then you can tailor it back. So now after 9 o'clock, I don't answer any messages after 9 o'clock. And I use a Facebook group for my PT clients. So I generally will ask them to use that group to ask a question. And one thing I found, is it leverages the question. So let's say they've got a question about protein, which is a normal everyday PT client question. I'm not getting enough protein, and what can I do? All my other clients in that group answer that question for me. I'm like, oh, thank God for this. And I was like, you don't have to, you can leverage your time quite effectively then. But again, you just need to get loads of clients to be able to do that. Unless you hire someone, and then you've got to have money to do that. So,
which would be amazing. Yeah, it would be amazing if that's how you could start. If you could come into the industry with an accountant, someone who replied to your message as a PA, and a business manager. If you could afford to pay all those things, great. But obviously, very few people do. But I think because of how much of a sought-after job it is, and because of how it is quite a relaxed job in terms of what we do day to day, I think a lot of people probably have came in from a little bit of money and have had a good amount of support, not to be able to hire people to work for them from the get-go, but to be able to not worry about how many clients they get and just do it for pure enjoyment, because their parents have a good amount of money, or their parents have a business that they also work for, whatever it may be. But it's such a diverse industry.
Yeah, I have worked, so this is for some people who, don't get their goals right. So I was chatting to a guy today who needs to earn £1,600 a month. And so I always make sure that everyone's got a clear goal about exactly what they need to earn. That also then tells me, well, what sort of gym business environment should you be in? Like, to make £1,600 a month, you could work in an employed role and that would be fine. If you want to make £5,000 a month, then you can't do that in an employed role. You're self-employed. So, we do a lot of this goal setting stuff. But I remember chatting to one guy, I'm not mentioning his name, but he was very much like, I can't do any more than 4 sessions back to back. I'm not enjoying it enough, But every week he was stressed about not making enough money. And it's like, you can't be stressed about not making money and then be stressed that you do more than 4 hours in a row. So
you're like not willing to earn money, but at the same time you need more money.
Yeah, so it's like he was saying his quality was lacking after 4 sessions. Well, I would say you need to plan better then. It actually isn't a hard job. We do a lot of talking, a lot of engaging, a lot of life coaching, basically. Most of the time I'm counting reps. It's not that hard.
60% of the PT session is a PT session.
Yeah.
I feel like the other 40% is asking them what they've had for their tea, or ask them how their family are. They're asking you the same question, stuff like that. It's very rare that you get a session where, right, okay, press ups. Now we're going to go to bench press. No talking. We're just talking reps. You don't have that, and people ask questions and people give you their problems, and that's why you're there.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think some people use that as an excuse of why they're not successful sometimes. Is like, well, I can't do too many sessions back to back. Anyway, you can do 12 hours back to back and it still not be a proper job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, yeah.
it's not that bad at all. But,
No, it is pretty relaxed.
but I think when you're saying if someone came in with financial backing, like let's say Facebook advertising. So we do Facebook advertising for my business, the Confidence Coach and Virtual Trainer. At the same time, I could throw £5,000 at something like that and then not know what to do with it properly because it's such a big thing. You have to, you really have to have a support network to help you do something like that. Doesn't matter what, really you can't do any Facebook advertising or things like that, or even social media. If you work in an employed role, you're not really allowed to.
No,
But if you're self-employed, I think, for the gym group, you're allowed to use their facility and stuff like that, but I don't think you're allowed to use their branding for anything. I'm not quite sure. Oh, no, you can.
No, I think, so obviously the stuff that you wear to PT, you can wear the uniform and have your logo on as well. But I think I tried to post something on social media. I was going to do like a Monday Metcon, just like a class within the gym that I was going to charge for. And I showed the manager at the time the image, and it was just an image of Monday Metcon with Coach by KT and then the gym group logo. And they're like, no, you can't use that. And they weren't telling me that it wasn't a personal thing, but it was just from a business standpoint, we can't attach ourselves to the gym group within our self-employed work. We can say we work there, but we can't use their logo and stuff for marketing purposes.
Yeah, because I guess the door opens, imagine if you were like a proper supreme racist and you're like, your private Facebook was just like, stuff. They'd be like, whoa. So
a big, massive racial slur with the gym group logo just footed at the bottom.
Yeah, they'll be like, right. So, because every bit of marketing has to be like approved and has to tick every single box for what's even allowed to go out. So they won't be allowed to do it, which I was quite surprised to say, you can use your logo on top of their uniform and stuff, but that's because they want you to wear their uniform, basically.
Yeah, they want you to be, when you're within the gym, they want you to be associated with the gym. They want you to stand out, I guess, as a member of their staff.
And I saw, when we changed that model, I saw a lot of PTs actually just go to wearing their own kit. And in the first part, I was like, well, I want to be seen as being a member of this gym, a member of staff. Because then I felt that people would approach me more. And people do, they ask you questions and things. But when I'm training people, I always just wear my uniform, my own CT and CC uniform.
Yeah. But you didn't at first, though, did you?
No.
And going back, I was thinking then, like, I remember you saying it to me and it twigged in my head, like, yes, if I'm just stood there in a Coach by KT hoodie, I would say my logo wasn't necessarily even the most outstandish as being a personal trainer and logo. So if people were seeing me just doing an exercise and I'm just helping them out when I'm giving them maybe form cues, I'd be a friend who knew what they were doing. To an onlooker looking in towards the session. So I think something twigged in me that I thought, okay, well, I either need to look like ridiculously professional and look like a PT in terms of like fitted joggers, sharp trainers, all of that, the things that the basically the financial things that you can do to try and make yourself look a little bit better, full Under Armour head to toe and whatever. I thought that was maybe the move, but I think what you did with the wearing gym group stuff was, I can only imagine it would have helped.
Yeah, I'd be stood between clients, I'd be stood at the desk saying hi to people who come in, and they would just go, because they know I worked there, so they'd be asking me questions. Oh, could you help me with this?
Yeah,
absolutely. So. But I think especially early days, if you're brand new, you just wear the more trusted brand's uniform, because I think we all, as PTs, my logo is just 3 lines, right? But it's not Nike. It's not Nike. People go, oh yeah, I know who that is. Don't do that. So it's like with our brand,
no.
It's an ego thing.
Not yet. Of course.
So
we all want. Everyone within that gym now, most of us wear, or at least a good amount of us wear our branded stuff to train people. And I think we should, because brand recognition is massive, even within just one small gym. If they see a banner, like for me, I've just got a banner, which is just my logo. If they see my banner and then they see my hoodie and it's the same logo, they think, okay, well, he's got a banner. He's clearly doing all right. I know a banner's not a Ferrari, but it's just professionalism to a certain degree. And I think wearing the gym group stuff, I think there's a certain element of uncomfortability. I feel like you're not representing your own brand as I feel like you should be sometimes.
I honestly think that, it's a very marginal thing. If you're doing all the actions of someone who's trying to grow a business, engaging with people, speaking to people,
Yeah.
stuff, then this isn't going to affect anything. But just from my own personal opinion, business would be better if you only just wore the gym's uniform, because I feel that everyone would just, they trust you a lot more. And your brand,
but it's so uncomfortable.
When a client recommends you, they don't recommend Coach by KT. They go,
no,
Kyle. You want to speak at Kyle?
The guy at the gym group, yeah.
But who do you recommend? Joe Wicks. Do they say Joe Wicks, or do they say the body coach?
Probably Joe Wicks.
I don't know. I think they say the body coach.
Nah, because if I said to my mum, what's that knacker on telly who jumps around in his PE lessons in the morning? What's his business called? She wouldn't know. She wouldn't know that he was the body coach, but she would know his name.
You have to ask.
And that's just generational.
We'll test this.
I think, yeah.
Well, let's go back. The guy who was on GMTV who did loads of fitness. What was he called?
Mr. Motivator.
That's not his name, though, is it?
Well, yeah, but he was never known by his name, was he? Could you even tell me his name now?
No, not a clue.
When you have two alternatives, it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an alternative, but I can't think Mr. Motivator even has another name. To me, his birth certificate says Mr. Motivator, and that's it.
That's it. That's all.
In his passport photo, he's got like a full body image of him wearing lycra and like bright leggings and stuff like that.
That's the thing.
He's just that person.
Brand. That's just what he built up. Even in the street now, he's probably called Mr. Motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just like notoriety, though. Like Nike wouldn't have to say Nike on a T-shirt if you know it was Nike. They could just have a tick. If you've seen Daniel Craig out in the street, your first thought would probably be, oh, that's James Bond.
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, that's Daniel Craig, because it's more of a relatable name. We know the name a little bit more. And Mr. Motivator is on that level. So Coach by KT and virtual trainer the confidence coach as well will hopefully be on that level one day.
No one will know
confidence
my name.
Coach.
No one will know my name.
That's the goal. And then deed poll, we can just change it.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I think everyone's got this strive to make their brand like that sort of idea.
Yeah.
You've got to be on TV and you've got to deliver such a huge influence in the world to get that known. And
because we see brands and everyone's so materialistic. That was the word I was looking for before. But because everyone's so materialistic now, everyone's kind of chasing that same thing. You want everything to be recognized by like a small logo. I've met people who, if they bought a Hugo Boss t-shirt, they'd want it to be absolutely massive of a logo that's in Hugo Boss, because clearly they care about the brand. And then I think other people would probably buy Hugo Boss t-shirts for the quality of t-shirt. I've never bought one, so I don't really know. And they would maybe just want a small Hugo Boss logo because they don't care. They're not trying to prove what brand it is. They just want a comfortable t-shirt, and that's the brand of choice. I know when I was in high school, you remember a brand called Gio Goy? It was like G-I-O-G-O-I. It was terrible, right? So terrible to me now, but then I thought, dog's bollocks. We went on a school trip to Barcelona, a football trip to Barcelona. And I went to JD with my mum just before. I was maybe 16, 15, maybe even younger than that. We went to JD and she was like, right, okay, so you're going away to Barcelona, I want you to get you some new clothes. Now, you can have one Gio Guide t-shirt or like 2 Mackenzie t-shirts. Now Mackenzie at that stage was like super chap, right? And I was like, nah, man, nah, I can't wear that. I can't wear the like Mackenzie stuff on in Barcelona, because what if people see me in the airport or I get rinsed for having Mackenzie gear on? I thought, no, I'll take one Geogoi t-shirt, and I think it was like navy blue with like pink letters, and it said Geogoi massive across the chest. And then I got a cap, which was also Geogoi. Now, I only got those. I didn't like the design. I didn't like the cap. It just said Geogoi in it, and to me that was the nuts. So brands, it goes to our heads, and everyone of all ages can probably say they've bought something for the logo. People buy cars for the logo all the time, even though it might be a crap quality of car. We care too much about the materialistic side of things.
Definitely right. I used to have an Audi Q5, and then when we were moving house, my mortgage advisor went, "You can't have a car that's the same price as your mortgage." I was like, "Oh." So he said, "Get rid of that, get something cheaper, and you'll be able to get a bigger house." Like, all right.
Yeah.
And so when I went looking, 'cause I lease my cars, I don't bother buying them, and it was a choice between an Audi A4, which is just like it was just a long, big black car, or a Skoda. Is it the Octavia? I don't know. It's the same car.
Yeah.
Exactly. The same car.
Outside of the shell, it works the same.
It's the same build and everything. And the Skoda was 90 quid a month, and the Audi was 190 quid a month, and I just couldn't bring myself to get the Skoda. I got the Audi.
Oh yeah, because as much as you could have a £20,000 car and another £20,000 car, but if you could have an Audi badge, a BMW, Mercedes badge, and one 20 grand car, and then like a Peugeot badge on the other, this isn't anything against anyone who has a Peugeot or pros for the people who have Audis, Mercedes, or BMWs, because I don't. But it's such a massive deal that you don't want to be seen driving down the street in a Peugeot because it's a Peugeot, when in fact it's just as good of a car. I think guys are affected by that a lot more than girls are, though. And that's not even like a sexist thing. I just think guys in cars, guys are a little more sentimental about the car and think, oh, well, girls won't look at me in a Peugeot, but they'll look at me in a BMW, so...
I'm married, though.
Get the BMW. Well, yeah, you have no reason to try and impress, and nor do I. That's why I got to see it. Mercedes next, just in case.
I guess there's a lesson there, though, and about, as a PT, do you want to be the Skoda or the Peugeot of the world, or do you want to...
Well, yeah. And that's what we're going back to. You can provide exactly the same service. Exactly the same service. Skoda service, BMW service. BMW is a PT in a smart uniform and Under Armour gear, right? So BMW is a PT in Under Armour gear. And this Peugeot PT is a PT in Umbro or Kappa. I'm trying to think of like...
Or Mackenzie.
Bad brands. Yeah, Mackenzie or Geogoi. And that, just to some people, unfortunately, is like a selling point, and people will look and he's wearing Kappa, not doing too well, but he's wearing Under Armour. He's the BMW of the group. He must be doing pretty well.
That falls back into pricing as well, though. If someone as a PT is charging, we said before, £12.50 a session or £15 a session, people automatically assume that it's crap. They go,
yeah.
You can pay it, but it's not going to be any good. But if you charge 40, 50 quid, they go, oh, this is definitely going to be good.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lesson there.
Yeah. Money controls everything, unfortunately.
Not right now, it doesn't.
Money controls nothing. But financially, I think you could find a PT that cost more than another PT, but didn't provide as good of a service as a cheaper PT, but just valued themselves at a higher cost per hour or a higher cost per month. And that's then down to the PT. So I wouldn't then also say the more expensive PT is the better PT. They just value their own time. Their time is more important to them than the PT charging slightly less. I wouldn't say if a PT was charging £10 per hour, they are a crap PT. Like, they just don't value the time as they should. And they're clearly not that bothered about BMWs. They're happy with Peugeots and stuff.
Which is okay. But then at the same time,
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It boils back to, well, what is the reason why you're doing this job? Do you need to make X amount of money? If you're charging £10 a session, but you don't want to be working hundreds of hours, unfortunately, it doesn't go together.
It doesn't add up. Yeah, it has to be like a middle ground.
That's it. So, excellent. No, so basically, the end of it, it's best to be in a gym because it's so much easier.
Yeah. Safe.
Safer.
But I think safety is the biggest thing. And I think if someone was to be watching this who was either A, thinking about becoming a PT, or B, has their qualification to be a PT, and they were looking at how to kind of go into something. I mean, you and I both think there's going to be an absolute surge in personal training and business after all of this. So if there's ever been a perfect time, then that perfect time is probably now or soon. Well, not now, because now is quite a quiet time for PTs. But soon.
Now, I put a video in our group earlier, which was about content and generating leads now. And there's a challenge, the 64 pieces of content a day challenge.
Yeah.
So if you're delivering content on social media, wherever you're doing it, and doing that 64 pieces a day, you're going to hit and target people. If you can get their information, when lockdown ends, you've got a pool of people which you can then deliver a low-cost entry-level or whatever it may be. So there's so much you can do now, even if you're qualifying, not qualified, or about to qualify, or qualified now. There's so much you can do just to kick in the right direction. Literally tons. So we're still generating leads now for our business for when we start, and so it's going to be great.
And I think there's a ton of fitness professionals who are in the game ahead of both you and I in terms of the size of their businesses, who are offering a lot of free content to coaches and stuff to try and help them through this time to come out on the other side better. And also, I couldn't tell you who was running it, but there's I think it's £20. I'll send you a link about it. But it's like an online fitness summit thing. And I think it's a weekend. It's a Friday night event online, probably like a quiz and stuff like that. And then Saturday and Sunday, there's different seminars on different things. And I think it's £20. I think the £20 goes to charity. Even little things like that, people are being super given in a time of, which is very much a time for need. So a time of need.
Unfortunately, on the back end of that is a ton of people who are trying to suck on the life of PTs. So I see a lot of it, of really good mentors and everything, but then I'm getting tons of adverts for, do you need to run an online PT business that makes 6 figures a month, that does X, Y, and Z, and it pulls on every heartstring you've got, and you're thinking, well, but I've been in the game long enough to know that's absolute bullshit, and you're just talking.
Oh God,
It's like, I know you're just going to sell me something. You're going to sell me a package for £6,000 and tell me I can do it in 12 weeks, and I know you're full of shit. And so,
I had a guy who, you get the whole sponsored ads. You've searched once in your life, best business model for a PT, or how to get new clients as a PT. You've searched that once before, and then it's in your cookies forever, and you're getting hunted by it. I came across a guy called Tait. I don't know if you've heard of him. Now, his was him walking around like it was blatantly a holiday villa. And he was like, look, this is me in my house. This is where I live, and you could get that as well. And I'm like, okay, yes, I'm listening. And he keeps talking. I think this was maybe about a year ago now. And I watched the video, and at the end of the video, there's like a link beneath it saying, click here if you want some free info. And then you click it, and then he sends you a message, which is like, click this link to be taken straight to your free information pack. And you go there, then you ask for your email, and you go there, and you've just jumped through 6 or 7 different websites to get to this end goal. And now the guy just sends me question marks. He's still messaging me now. I can't even show you. Can I show you?
Well, no, don't think so.
I don't know. I can open my messenger on here and show you that. But like, how can I help you? Question mark. What are your goals for this week? 7 question marks, and it's just constant. And I'm just letting him crack on with it. Like, he's clearly getting something out of it. It's probably an automated messaging service. And there's always a link underneath saying, I want these goods. And yeah, I'm just going to let him keep messaging me. I'm not interested because I think he's talking pap. You had a guy, I think you shared a photo of a guy did a similar thing to you. I couldn't tell you his name. I can't think of his name.
I get it. I get it every twice a week on average.
Yeah, but I think I've had the same guy. I think we had the same guy attached themselves.
Tanner, is it?
Yeah, there was weirdly ages ago. I got added by a few. One girl actually. I can't think of her name. Emily, and maybe Emily, maybe something along the lines of that. And she was just a normal person. And I think she worked out. She was in quite good shape. Again, I'll send you this after, but I can't think of her name. And we were, Lucy Davis, that's her name, right? So she was just a normal person, worked out, was into fitness. And I think she messaged me saying, like, oh, your content and stuff for fitness looked great. Like, you're doing a great job. Didn't hound me, wasn't asking to try and help me, was just genuinely putting that out there. And now she's like a Gymshark athlete. Her boyfriend, have you heard of My Coach?
Yes, I have. Yeah, the app.
Yeah. The guy called Ben, I think. Ben, I couldn't tell you his name. But she's now dating him, and they're both signed to Gymshark. And like 3 or 4 years ago, she was messaging me like about fitness, and now she's bigger than I might ever be. I think she's got like 400,000 Instagram followers. Hey?
So don't forget your roots. Yeah. I'm the reason why
Yeah. Don't forget where you came from. I did that once actually with a guy who rides motocross, essentially is the easiest way to put it. Enduro, it's called. I went to school with him. He broke my bike in middle school. He broke it, and I don't think he ever fixed it. But he now does that professionally, signed by Rockstar and stuff like that. And I messaged him saying, good to see you're still doing what you... No, I went through my drawers the day and I found a photo of me and him and a few of the guys from like a school trip. So I might just take a photo and say, look, mate, like, let's be real now. I was there before anybody else. Just to try and get free tickets to an event or something like that.
A free bike.
Yeah, hopefully. Hey, maybe he just fixes my old one.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you so much for today. I've enjoyed it.
No problem.
I think there's a lot of valuable bits there about business models,
yeah,
how to do it and how to grow. And no, it's been a pleasure. So thank you very much.
Cool.
Appreciate
Spot on.
Right.
One quick one, I've been looking at you the whole time and not my camera. Yeah. So I'm not bong-eyed, if anyone's wondering. I'm looking at Aaron and not looking like at the camera where I should be. So
I do the same.
Yeah, my eyes look. If anyone's looking for a PT, my eyes are straight. I promise.
Cheers, buddy.
No problem. Good work, man.